What do you know about the Hawkesbury-Nepean River and its catchment? Hi, I'm Nathan Zampronio, an independent councillor on Hawkesbury City Council. I am a teacher and a data geek, and I've made a map and I'd love to share it with you. The catchment of the Hawkesbury River covers 21,700 square kilometres, stretching from Broken Bay, where it flows into the Pacific Ocean, and down to well south of Goulburn, to a ridge that's just 7 kilometres away from Lake George. That means that the catchment of our river starts at a point that's only about 10 minutes from the ACT border. Westward, the catchment stretches all the way past Lithgow to Portland, and northward up the Putty to well north of Newcastle. It crosses the borders of 20 councils and includes 14 national parks. Any rain falling within these boundaries becomes part of the river. This includes 35 named rivers feeding into the Hawkesbury, along with 179 creeks and over 40 lakes, lagoons, reservoirs, swamps and bays along its length. But that's not all. Beyond the named tributaries are thousands of little rivulets and waterways that sometimes only flow when there's rain. Maybe some of them have never even been explored. My community, based around the two largest Hawkesbury towns of Windsor and Richmond, sit at the heart of this river's floodplain. Since the dawn of time, we have learned to live with the river and her moods, with the bounty of good alluvial soil and her caprice of destructive flooding. Those who have gambled with the river have often paid with their lives, including my own Five Greats grandfather, William Cantwell, who arrived on the Third Fleet and died in the flood of 1809 at Windsor, then called Green Hills. The Hawkesbury-Nepean catchment acts like a vast collection system. Rain doesn't simply run off the surface, it seeps into soils, it fills groundwater and dams, it moves through rock and only gradually makes its way into creeks and rivers. But eventually, almost all of it converges here in the communities that run between Bents Basin down at Wallachia, through Penrith, Richmond, Windsor, Pitttown, Sackville and onward, passing through the low parts of the floodplain on its journey past the Brooklyn Bridge and out to the sea through Broken Bay. The area subject to the worst flooding is about 425 square kilometres. 134,000 people live here in about 25,000 residential properties, together with 2 million square metres of commercial property space, and those numbers are likely to double in the next 30 years. There have been about 140 floods since the start of European settlement in the 1790s. Locals tend to divide those into the 134 floods that happened up between settlement and to February 1992, and then the 6 or so floods that have happened since February 2020. There was a gap of about 28 years where we had no floods at all, meaning a whole generation of people have grown up in this area without a lived experience of flooding in the Hawkesbury. The marker for a moderate flood is about 6.4 metres, measured at Windsor. For reference, the deck of the old Windsor Bridge sat at about 7 metres, and the new bridge is 2.8 metres higher still. On my website is this new interactive map that I created as an exercise for a senior high school class that I teach at a local school for data visualisation. Feel free to try it out. You can explore all the parts of the catchment that sit above and below Warragamba Dam. It lets you model the various flooding events, all the way from the smaller floods we've had in recent years through to once-in-a-century events and the terrifying hypothetical PMF, the probable maximum flood, that may one day be statistically inevitable. The worst ever flood since European settlement was in 1867 and reached this nail, famously marked on the wall of the Macquarie Arms pub in Windsor. A PMF event would be over the roof of that pub. It even takes you on a guided tour and shows you the highlights. I love exploring the branching network and all of the names and the wonderful nooks and crannies that exist in the upper reaches of our river. I bet you don't know them all. If you find this interesting, please consider following me for more content like this. Thanks for watching.